Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 1,200. Where the heck is the number? 1,224. 1224. Hey, that's also Christmas Day. Is that number date? Hi, it's Mike Matthews, broadcasting from Podcastro Valentino.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Hi, it's been a while. I had a birthday and stuff, and I took some time off. So let's go.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Start the show and hear from Benita, the Disgruntled Fiddle Player, and the Brewmaster. Hey, I have to tell you, I'm getting faster at my rhymes. I can tell you about things you didn't know with my song that I sing at the front of every show. It's called Education Through Singing to You.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Now, this isn't Sesame Street. I'm not going to teach you things through songs, but
Mike's
that's what Sesame Street's for.
Daily
They still do a great job.
Podcast.
I should watch it more often.
Yeah!
I'd be smarter. On today's show, we're going to bring you the segment called Why the Hell Did I Yelp That? Why? Because sometimes I think to myself, why am I sharing stuff on Yelp when that's stuff I could talk about on my podcast? That's content that I'm just freely giving to the wonderful Yelp, which I should be saving for my own show. Hoarding it, if you will. I will, if you will. All right, here's some of my topics for today. I brought a piece of paper. First off, I love that dog show they show every year right after Thanksgiving or on the day of Thanksgiving. You see all the dogs. That's wonderful. It makes me think of my dog, Basil the Boxer. I have taken the past couple days off doing a lot of road trips with my dog. We went to Monterey one day. Another day we went to Pittsburgh. No, not Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. From California, that would be a long drive. No, I'm talking about Pittsburgh without the H. It was a town settled by Italians. Italiano. Hey, what's the matter, you? Look who just walked in. Hi, Mark. It's Benita, the rodeo queen. Hi, Lou.
It's a Disgruntled Fiddle Player, tell you what.
What?
It's great that we got an Italian running the country now.
Is Donald Trump Italian? I thought he had, like, German background.
I don't know. I'm happy he's president, though. It's good to get someone white in there.
Oh, Disgruntled Fiddle Player, that's racist.
Well, what I'm telling you is that I don't trust Democrats.
Democrats, okay. So it's not a skin color thing?
No. If you're a Democrat and your skin is colored Democrat, then I don't like you.
Disgruntled Fiddle Player.
Mike Matthews.
Disgruntled Fiddle Player.
Mike Matthews.
Disgruntled Fiddle Player, people criticize me for driving Basil the Boxer over to Pittsburgh, which is north of Podcastro Valley. It's in the Bay Area, but more east. But it's right on the bay. And they're actually known for kite surfing. They got a great kite surfing area, and they get a lot of wind. In fact, there are wind turbines through there that catch the wind and turn it into energy to keep the coal factories out of business.
No, Trump's gonna bring them back. Coal is the next best thing happening all over.
Uh-huh. Oh, speaking of which, I think it's your nephew, Clem. Look who else just walked in. Clem is going to be on the next show. And we discuss a lot of things having to do with Trump, so that's going to be a great show.
Yeah, too bad it's not this show.
It would be this show, but things are happening in the world. And I have the thing with Yelp that I have to get through. But yeah, I want to tell you, look who else walked in. Say hi, who you are.
Hello, Mike. I make the root beer and the brewmaster. Oh, boy. Pittsburgh sucks.
Look, Pittsburgh is not the most pleasing town in the world, but it is on the bay, And there's this wonderful restaurant I like to go to that's right in the marina there. And they make a delicious salmon on cream cheese on bagel thing that's just out of this world, and you can sit outside. And it's like, no, don't worry, sitting outside wasn't a bad thing when I was there, even though it was raining. It stopped raining while I was eating, so that was good. But Pittsburgh has a little coffee place. It's something like Steeltown Coffee or something, and it's right in the middle of a bank. And even though the bank was closed because it was on the weekend, they were still open, and super nice people. I had a wonderful, like, Mexican mocha. Mark, that sounds delicious. Does it have a burrito in it? No, a Mexican mocha has a little bit of cinnamon in it. And so that's what a Mexican mocha is, basically, a mocha with the chocolate, and you put cinnamon in it. And then it makes you happy that you live so close to Mexico. There's not a huge concrete wall between us yet, with some fencing. But yes, Fidel Castro died, and we'll get to a little bit more about that in a minute. But I would like to say, on my past couple days off, I also did a road trip to Richmond, and that day it rained, and that day I just had a miserable day, and I'm just going to take it all out on Richmond. I'm done with Richmond. But Mike, Richmond sucks. Why would you even try and say anything nice about Richmond? Well, I enjoy Point Isabel. I enjoy there's a Costco right next to Point Isabel where you can take your dog and let him off leash and run around, and it's awesome. There's great views of Alcatraz and the Golden Gate Bridge, and I've posted many podcast pictures having to do with it. And there's some of the pictures that you see on the website, mikesdailypodcast.com, that have to do with it. But even on a rainy day, where water leaked into my car and almost caused a short circuit, even all that, the Costco is packed. Makes no sense. And then I went to Point Richmond, which has like a little neat downtown. People were totally rude to me. I'm walking Basil the Boxer, and people are totally giving me stink eye the whole time. I don't know what the heck. I mean, it wasn't like he was attacking them or something. He was walking perfectly nice there, and and then I went to Point Pinole. There's a lot of points there. What's the point to this story? There's a lot of points in Richmond. And I get to Point Pinole, and everyone I pass is reeking of reefer. So I don't know, ladies and gentlemen, because I think that there might be ladies and gentlemen listening to the show, but if there isn't, whatever. I'm just saying I did not have a good day. And then I was super worried any second my car was going to short circuit because so much water got into it through some hole. I still don't know how it got through. It's a mystery. I don't visit San Francisco too much. Not because...
And here's today's podcast picture.
Oh, look, the podcast picture has to do with San Francisco. Oh, how this dovetails nicely. Dovetails. Dovetails are fluffy and feathery. What happened was, I think this was Wednesday, the day right before Thanksgiving. I went to San Francisco and I had a great time walking amongst the tourists, hearing them say things like, "Oh, food's expensive here." And I heard a couple of people running into each other that hadn't seen each other in a long time, and that was interesting to hear their reaction. And it was a super clear day on Wednesday. You could see all the way across the bay. You could see every window on Alcatraz, even though they are doing a lot of renovation to Alcatraz. They have to do it constantly to that place because it's so windblown. But the podcast picture actually has to do with, there are now 2 ice skating rinks open in San Francisco. One of them is right by the ferry building, so kind of right by the bay. The other's further inland in Union Square, and that's the picture I took. And there's some billboard, I think it's probably Nike, that has something to do with the Warriors winning the whatever. Or they didn't win, did they? They won their whatever. They won something, didn't they? And so I don't know anything about sports, and so I just, everywhere I went, there was that Curry guy. People were wearing his shirt everywhere. It's big. Warriors are big, and they're playing now, I am told. So we wish them luck. But San Francisco, the only problem I have with it, aside from the urine everywhere and homeless everywhere, and some that were just totally, practically assault. I was walking down, I was by myself. I did this lone travel, which is probably just as well, because I walked probably 6 miles, and anyone who would have gone with me would have been very irate at me for all the walking we did. You know, but it was good exercise. And I'm just coming up on where the BART is at Powell and Market, and all these people around me are getting accosted by homeless people that are just like, basically, give me money. It was ridiculously rude. But then I saw some police coming the other direction, so maybe they were onto these. Maybe they had heard complaints about this. But I did have really sore legs, and that's the one problem I have with San Francisco, is my legs are always so sore when I leave. I'm hitting this table at Cafe Anyway. I'm Brad Dacus. Matt, that was an allusion to a previous podcast. I'm glad you're back, though. Bye, I'm leaving because I'm not glad he's back. What? That was contradictory. But this dovetails nicely into how I love Christmas songs. And Christmas music is everywhere, and some people are driven nuts by it. I love it. Christmas, oh, the rain's coming down. I'm watching it fall. There's a hole in my roof in my car. Christmas made my car short circuit. My brother-in-law pointed out to me that the states that voted for Trump this time around, and Hillary's lead has widened with the popular vote. This just makes conservatives cringe, but as the states that voted for Trump, they are going to bear the brunt. Voted for Trump, you bear the brunt of all the things that are going to go wrong when Trump's president. They will be not fine. We will be fine here in California. And that's probably why we should Cal-exit. Oh, my phone made a neat little chirping noise. Did you hear that? It was so nice. So my brother-in-law pointed that out, or my ex-brother-in-law. We still stay friends. He made me dinner for my birthday. He's such a nice guy. So, and finally, some nice people too are the Blackmans. Robert Owen Welsh, who sometimes does the segment called Welsh on the World.
Welsh on the World.
Although he has not done it since New Year's last year, wasn't that the 1000th episode? But his in-laws are the Blackmans, and they are fantastic because they did a little celebration for my birthday. They had a little candle on a cupcake, and I blew it out. And then when I blew it out, they pulled those little confetti popper banger things that you pull it back and they go pop, and there's confetti all over you, and you look like a cruise ship. Oh, so much fun. And they sang me happy birthday. It was the flattest happy birthday I've ever heard. And it was wonderful because that is something to strive for, when you can hit a flat note so good that it makes anyone who can sing, like your Adeles, your Katy Perry's. Oh, wait, she doesn't sing, she auto-tunes. Anywho, it's just wonderful to hear a good flat note, because auto-tune fixes that. And that's what's wrong with this world. There's too much auto-tune. And I'm old, and I can say that. I'm waving my cane at you. My cool cane. No, it's not that John McCain or that... if I only knew names. Different canes. Candy cane? Candy cane lane. Back to Christmas. And finally, on my birthday, I met the nicest barista. I told her it was my birthday, and Starbucks gave me a free coffee. Okay, so I have had to wait a year and a half to get a free coffee from Starbucks. Something got messed up along the way. And in 2014, I received a free drink. I did not use it right away, and I lost it. Then, for some reason, I got mad at Starbucks for this, and I said I'm not going to go anymore, so I stopped getting the points, and I stopped getting free stuff. I didn't get a free one for my birthday last year. I only found out about this free Starbucks gift that I got, just happened to look through my email and caught it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I would have totally missed that, because they give you 2 days to use it. 2! So I happened to get over there on my birthday, and the barista was, how old are you? And I said 48. She's like, oh, you have good genes. And I go, now I know why I came in here. And then she said, what do you want? And I told her I wanted one with eggnog in it. And she said, no, here's what you do. You don't get it cut. Don't get the eggnog cut. Because if you get it cut, they put like half of it eggnog, half of it is milk. You don't want that. Get it all eggnog. And I said, but I want espresso in it. Sounds good. And I want whipped cream on it, too. All right. Thanks. I get my cup. She's written this big happy birthday on it. Happy birthday, Mike. I took a picture of it. Oh, I should have posted that as the podcast picture. But instead, I posted a picture of the ice skating rink at the Union Square in San Francisco. See that podcast picture and all the podcast pictures, and I'm holding my cane and my hat in my other hand, and I'm going, we've got trouble, my friends, right here in River City, with a capital T that rhymes with weed and has a blue, and it's capital pole, and I'm giving a bean, and about Wendy Williams is hot. So what you can see in that other stuff at mikesdailypodcast.com are past podcast pictures, and you can help out the show if you're going to buy anything on Amazon. Like, I almost bought something for Black Friday on Amazon, but then I ended up doing it today, and today isn't Black Friday, it's Small Business Saturday. Patronize your small businesses, and I'm sorry to break it to you, my friend, Amazon is not a small business. No, that's big. Way too big. So don't patronize Amazon today. Wait till we're out. Maybe on Cyber Monday. That would work perfectly, wouldn't it? That would dovetail nicely. So check that all out at mikesdailypodcast.com. The Amazon link will help us out if you shop through that at mikesdailypodcast.com. And also there's a PayPal. If you'd like to donate, you'll get a special greeting from all the Cafe Anyway characters, even the Cafe Anyway doves. And there'll also be... Do they even make that noise? Caw, caw! Basil the Boxer loves to bark at crows. He has this thing about crows, and he will bark, and I'll go, yeah, goddamn crows! I know that's not very nice, but... I actually love crows, but it's just so funny how mad he gets. My dog, when he sees crows, he wants to get them in the worst way. And crows are smart, right? They're looking at him like, they're probably just laughing at him as I'm laughing at this whole situation. And finally, there is past interviews you can hear, even with Autopilot, whom I interviewed. And, oh, guess what? Didn't get free tickets to their show. They didn't even tell me where the show was. Thanks again, Angela and Autopilot, and all the free publicity I gave you, and I didn't even get to see your show for free. That's called one hand rubbing the other with crap. Ointment. Or something. I don't know what that expression is. One back scratching the other back. Making the animal with two backs. No, that's not what it is. Whatever. Mike'sDailyPodcast.com. Now, let's get to the segment, Why the Hell Did I Yelp That?
Why the hell did I yelp that?
What?
Boy, I made that imaging so long ago. I would like to tell you about a place that I went to. And I would Yelp about it, but I'm not going to because I don't want to give Yelp the free content. And that is Pacific Grove. Pacific Grove, to me, is the most beautiful downtown area I have ever seen. I love it, I love it, I love it, to quote the late, great Molly Shannon. Mark, she's still alive. What, Molly Shannon's still alive? Yes. That's good. Fidel Castro's dead.
Yeah, he in fact is dead.
Thank you, Disgruntled Fiddle Player.
Don't mention it, Mike Matthews.
So, what we have is a failure to communicate, but what we also have is Pacific Grove, which I went to in 2000. I went on a road trip. I can't say that word, and I'm just going to say road trap. It was a road trap. I was trapped into this trip. Oh, there, I just said it. And I traveled I was living in Ventura, California at the time, traveled up the coast, stayed in South San Francisco, San Jose, and then also Pacific Grove. And I will never forget the Pacific Grove part of that. It was so wonderful. I love that little town. And there was a place called Bookworks. My friend, it is still there. My friend. Oh, my friend. Isn't that so insincere if someone calls you my friend and you know they don't even know who you are? I don't know who you are. Or maybe I do. I don't know. Maybe you're one of my friends listening and you are my friend. But so I will stop that. It was insincere. A person listening to this podcast, dearest podcast listener, I, in fact, went to Pacific Grove in 2000. I remember the song that was hot on the radio was Californication by the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and also that one they do, how long must I slide? Other side, take me to the other side. So my back had hurt the whole trip because I wasn't treating my body very well. I had a pretty large beer gut, even though I didn't drink beer. And I was just unhealthy. I wasn't exercising. And I had really bad back problems. I went to Pacific Grove, stayed at a place I think it's called the Lighthouse Inn. And they have a jacuzzi. And I sat in it for a long time. And I got out, took an aspirin. Next thing I knew, my back was back to normal. I think it has to do, I'm not scientific or anything, but you probably needed blood flow into my back to help whatever situation was wrong back there. And then I went to downtown Pacific Grove, had a coffee at Bookworks, and I remember a guy played a didgeridoo while I was there. Didgeridoo, that's Australian. And then so I went back there on Monday. So it's been 16 years, and that place is still there. And I told one of the workers that story about seeing someone play a didgeridoo. And she laughed, and she was cute. She was beautiful. She kind of almost had a French model look to her. But I'll never see her again. Anyway, then I walked to a place, some kind of, like the A Street Grill, and had a burger there and sat outside. I had Basil with me. It was a beautiful night. There's fire outside to keep you warm. Oh, Pacific Grove, I can't say enough nice things about it. That's why we had this segment just now called Why the Hell Did I Yell at That? But now we have one more segment called News Random.
News Random.
What?
All right, in the wake of Castro's death, Cuban exiles cheer in Miami while Havana streets stay quiet. This according to the Washington Post and MSN.com, just as they were during that long and sprawling life of Fidel Castro, global leaders and ordinary people were divided today over the legacy of the late Cuban revolutionary leader, with some hailing him as a liberator and others cursing him as a dictator. In Miami, the island's exiles and their children and grandchildren took to the streets banging pots and pans, waving American and Cuban flags, and celebrating in Spanish, "He's dead, he's dead." They did this before. You know, there were a couple of false alarms in the recent past where they thought that Fidel had died, and they would go out with the pots and pans, banging them, and then be like, "No, he's still alive." Damn! This morning in Havana, the streets were quiet just hours after Castro's brother and successor, President Raul Castro, announced that the former dictator died at 10:29 p.m. last night. He did not give a cause of death. Castro's enemies have long imagined that his death would potentially produce a crisis on the island, but ill health forced Castro to renounce his executive functions in 2006, and today he lost his bodily functions. And Raul, who's 85, not much younger, has been running Cuba ever since. The government has had years to prepare for Castro's death, and a 9-day period of mourning has been declared, heavy with revolutionary symbolism. Castro's body will lay in state Monday and Tuesday in Havana's Plaza of the Revolution, where Cubans will be able to, quote, pay tribute and sign a solemn pledge to fulfill the concept of revolution, the Communist Party said. After a mass gathering in the plaza planned for Tuesday, Castro's body will be carried to Santiago de Cuba at the southeastern end of the island, reversing the journey that his bearded rebels made in January of 1959 after seizing power. And you know, they still have cars. That they weren't able to ever import cars from anywhere, so they still have cars from that year driving around today. Castro will be cremated on the morning of December 4th and laid to rest at the Santa Ifigenia Cemetery in Santiago, the site of the tomb of Cuban national hero Jose Marti and other 19th century independence leaders. A hush seemed to fall over the capital as Havana residents woke up this morning to the news of Castro's death. There were no visible signs of Cubans gathering to discuss the news. There were no public moments of mourning. Police and soldiers sealed off access to the city's central plaza, where most of the headquarters of the Communist Party and government buildings are clustered. But there was no heavy security deployment visible in the city streets. Well, the last time most Cubans saw Fidel Castro at a gathering of the Communist Party in April, he was in a wheelchair. Cubans have been watching him fade away for years. As we go outside a cafe anyway, we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast, somewhere in Podcastro Valley. A historic day when we lost Mrs. Brady yesterday, Florence Henderson. And it's interesting, I've been catching shows here and there about Leonard Cohen, who died earlier this month. And just, I've heard interviews played back that had been done with him. Just a fascinating guy. You know, he quit smoking. His voice dropped several octaves as he got older, and he quit smoking because the doctor told him, "Oh, you're about to, you're well on, you don't have it yet, but you're on your way to getting some serious throat disease." So he quit, and he put out a great album this year, so sad to see him go. David Bowie put out an album just before he passed away, too. It's an interesting thing if you're able to release an album just before your death. It's sort of like your final letter to the world, like an author releasing a book just before they pass away, whatever. But I've gotten really sad and morose and macabre. And a little sad, a little forlorn at the end of the show. And I apologize. I'm glad to be back. I'm going to start making podcasts again. Hopefully we'll get on one tomorrow. We'll see. Till then, I invite you to check out my show on countrycrossroadsradio.com. I'm doing a show today and tomorrow. Probably by the time you hear this, my show will be over for Saturday. But catch the one on Sunday. It's from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific time. I think that comes out to 2 to 6 Eastern time. At any rate, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and thanks for putting up with my doves. Kuru, kuru. Aw, these doves are starting to cry. They're never satisfied.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!